Hi guys, my name is Bruce, and I'm the creator of a game called Wolven. Wolven is a solitaire game that takes place in the same universe as games like Werewolf or Ultimate Werewolf. This video is an explanation of the rules. If you need to know how to set up the game, we have a separate video for that, and someday soon I hope to post a video of the game actually being played. The characters in Wolven are represented by tokens, which are all in a bag at the beginning of the game. Each token might show the face of a helpful villager who's got a special ability that they can use to help you deduce who the werewolves are or to eliminate the werewolves. But on the other side of the tokens, you'll find either these helpful peasant fellows who have special abilities of their own, or a werewolf. The object of the game is to determine which of the characters has a werewolf on the back and to eliminate those characters from the game. To keep things interesting though, there's also a character token that has a peasant on the front side. On the back side it could be, well, it could still be a peasant, but it could also be a werewolf. So when you see that peasant staring up at you, you're never sure if it's the back of a villager token or if it's the front of a peasant token, and if it's the front of a peasant token, whether it's really a peasant or maybe it's a werewolf. The game of Wolven begins when you draw a token from the bag and put it on the table. Whenever you draw a token, you only look at one side. The first side you see is the one you leave face up, so you're never really sure what's on the back. You can continue drawing tokens and adding them to the ones on the table as long as you wish, or until you draw a werewolf. In either case, the next step is to figure out if you want to use any of the villagers' special abilities. Some of the abilities have a cost connected to them, like the priest here, whose ability will cost you 5 silver to use. Some of the villagers have abilities that you can do for free, like the innkeeper. The fact that there's no coin here on the token means his ability costs nothing to use. The special abilities are all listed on what we call the reference cards, which you'll deal out before the game. For example, if you want to use the innkeeper's ability, you're going to check out this reference card. He's free to use, and he gains 1 silver for each villager in play that is not a peasant. You have 4 villagers in play, and none of them are peasants, so you get to gain 4 silver. Or maybe you want to use the priest ability. This one's going to cost you 5 silver. The holy water power says you can move the token backwards 1 space on the infection track. So you spend the 5 silver, and you move the infection token backwards 1 space. In addition to the abilities on the tokens, you also have the Slayer card in play at the beginning of the game. There's no token for the Slayer because that's you. You've come to this village and met the villagers and you're trying to help them solve their werewolf problem. So at any point during the game, you can use the ability on the Slayer card which says pay 2 silver for each villager token in play to ward off 1 Wolven attack. In a regular turn, after you've used your player powers, somebody is going to die. Let's say you were playing a game and you had drawn these 4 tiles, and you decided to stop before you drew a werewolf. You've used all of your villagers' special abilities, and now it's time to figure out who dies. Because you stopped before you drew a werewolf, you get to make this decision yourself. So let's say you chose the priest. Then you flip him over. If he turns out to be a peasant, move the peasant token backwards 1 space on the population track. If, on the other hand, he turned out to be a werewolf, you would move the werewolf token back one space on the track. In either case, you would take the priest token and you would discard it from play. If, on the other hand, you were playing a game and you kept drawing until you turned up a werewolf, well, then the turn sequence is a little bit different. You can find it printed on your werewolf reference card. Here you see that your first step is to advance the infection token. You do this by simply moving the infection token forward one space on the track. We'll talk more about the consequences of this a little bit later on. Next, you get to use any of the abilities of the characters, just as though you had stopped the game yourself. Finally, it's time to decide which of the villagers died. Now, since you didn't stop on your own, a werewolf is going to attack, and he's going to take out a random character. What I do is I take all of these tokens, and I shake them in my hands underneath the table, and pull one out at random. You're going to check the back side of it, just like we did a few minutes ago. And if it's a peasant, you move the peasant token backwards on the population track. If it's a werewolf, you move the werewolf token back on the population track. Then you're going to put all of these tokens into the bag, and we're ready to start the upkeep phase of the game. Throughout the game, you may want to use the reference cards in order to keep track of your deductions. You can turn them sideways, or you can put them at different places in your display area. Whatever is helpful for you for keeping track of which ones you know are innocent and which ones might still be werewolves. At the end of each turn, you're always going to do a couple of things. First of all, you're always going to move the time token forward one space. Sometimes, when you move the time token forwards, it's going to move into a space that's got a moon in it. When that happens, you also move the infection token forward one space. By now, I guess you're wondering what happens if my infection token makes it all the way to the end of its track. Oh well, bad things happen. Really bad things. This means that the Slayer, that's the character that you play in the game, has just given in to his inner werewolf. First of all, you're going to add a werewolf token to the bag. Before the game started, you should have set aside several werewolf tokens. There are werewolves on one side and peasants on the other. Add one of those to the bag now. This also means that you need to move the werewolf status token forward one space on the population track. And remember that wonderful Slayer power, the one you start with at the beginning of the game, and you never have to draw a token to use it? Well, the Slayer just turned into a werewolf, so sorry, no more Slayer power. At the end of every round, you also check to see if you've won or lost the game. If the werewolf token is moved all the way back to the 0 space of the population track, congratulations, you've eliminated the werewolf threat from the village, and you've won the game. If, on the other hand, your peasant token is on any space lower on the population track than the werewolf token, well, werewolves have just overrun the town, and you and the villagers, well, you've lost the game. If you've neither won nor lost the game, you simply shake up the bag and start drawing tokens again for a new round. You keep playing until you either win the game or lose the game. So that's an idea on how to play Wolven. If you've got any questions, the full rules are available online. We sure hope you enjoy the game and maybe recommend it to your friends or loan them your print and play copy. In the meantime, keep playing Wolven and keep having fun.